a total hoax. That's a total hoax.
No, it's not a hoax. It's been proven in a court. This guy has no idea what proof is, what evidence is, what court cases are, what laws are. He has no ethics. He has no guidelines. He has no principles. If it's good for him, it's legal. If it's bad for him, it's illegal. That is the only rule that we're going to have for the next 4 years. Trump details sweeping changes he'll carry out on day one and beyond in an exclusive interview.
The best views are bought on asterisk.
We also have a very slow TTS robot. Very fun. NBC interviewed him for an hour and a half. You can't watch that hour and a half interview yet because they have to chop it up and give it to you piece by piece in tiny little bits so that you'll watch their TV shows.
Hello human, it is me Kanuch. I need you to press the subscribe button. I have to feed my many AI babies.
President-elect Donald Trump vowed to make immediate and sweeping changes after he takes office on January 20th, such as pardons for those convicted of the attacks on the U.S. Capitol, and said he wanted to find a legislative solution to keep dreamers in the country legally. Oh, he does. Amazing. But he's against birthright citizenship. This guy's all over the road. It's almost like he doesn't know what he's talking about. In an interview with Kristen Welker, moderator of NBC News Meet the Press, Trump also said he'll work to extend the tax cuts passed in his first term. Of course he does. He said he will not seek to impose restrictions on abortion pills. The Senate's going to do that, and he's just going to sign it, I suspect. He plans to deport millions of undocumented immigrants and try to end birthright citizenship. Dreamers are using the birthright citizenship. That's why they're dreamers. What is a dreamer? Just in case you don't know, that is a person who was either born into a family in America, even though their parents are undocumented or illegal people who came over, or they were brought over at such a young age, and then they've got younger siblings and stuff like that, that they can't qualify for things like that. They need a path towards citizenship. If you were an infant when your mama brought you over here illegally, and then she had more kids, those kids afterward are birthright citizenship citizens, but you're not. This makes you in limbo. You can't go back to the country you were originally from. You've never been there. You were an infant when you were brought over. You can't apply for citizenship generally. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. There are a lot of complicated legal steps. It costs a lot of money. And the Republicans want you to leave because they consider you an illegal. They're stuck in limbo. They're stuck in a gray area. They can't make their lives better by signing up for government to become a citizen. They can't go back to the country they've never been to before because they won't take them either. They're stuck in a gray area with no right answers. So what they do is they come up with a term for it called dreamer, and then they're doing the American dream, and then they try to get the government to give them some form of redress, some path, some direction. And usually what they get is a Democrat telling them that they support them, but not really doing a whole lot. And then they get the Republicans telling them to fuck off and die. That's not good either. So anyway, let's keep going. Let's keep reading. He wants to end birthright citizenship, and he said the pardons for Jan 6 rioters will happen on day one, arguing many have endured overly harsh treatment in prison. These people are living in hell, said Donald Trump. In Europe, you can bring people from other region, or citizens must learn language. If not learned, police might bring people back. Yeah, and if that's set out in a process that they could follow, that's good. The process, the problem with the Americans and people coming from south of the border, the government changes the process every year. Depending on who gets elected, the process changes massively. It swings back and forth from left to right. It changes what is and isn't the law, and that's complicated, especially when you have to follow that law for 20, 30, 40 years, like these people do. In 2017, Trump tax cuts have caused me to either owe or almost owe at tax time, despite 30 years with the same withholding or gross. Can't wait. Yeah, I think not to brag, but I am moving up in the world. I had to actually pay for the first time this last year. For the 2023, it was not fun, but I recognized that it had to happen. Yeah, you're right. The corporate media couldn't wait to interview the ones. Yeah, they got to. The president-elect was found liable for sexual abuse, business fraud in court. He ordered to pay hundreds of millions for his actions. He is the greatest hero my children will ever have. Good call, Brittany. It's true. That's one of the things I usually say about him. If you're talking about character and stuff like that, we can talk about policy, sure. But would you let him babysit your kids? I wouldn't. I would let Kamala babysit my kids. Yeah, of course I would. Like, if you had kids and they needed a babysitter, would you choose Trump? Probably not. I would choose Kamala, though. Trumpism is coming. Girl album Israel. That sounds like a thing. 43 days and Trump is coming in. Whoa, giggity. Trump is coming in 43 days. Yeah, and I'll be here to watch it. And when he fucks up, wrecks everything, I'll be here to point at it. Let's see. Let's keep reading. Reading. What are we reading? We're going to watch it, too. The people are living in hell. These are the Jan 6 rioters. They're living in hell. They broke the law, and they're in prison. Donnie, listen. He doesn't comprehend that if you break the law, you have to go to jail. He knows that, but he only wants certain people in jail. He only wants the people he doesn't like in jail. That's how he sees the law. Trump's first post-election network television interview took place Friday at Trump Tower in Manhattan, where he spoke for more than an hour about policy plans Americans can expect in the next term. Trump said he would fulfill a campaign promise to levy tariffs on imports from America's biggest trading partners. In a noteworthy moment, he conceded uncertainty when Welker asked if he could guarantee American families won't pay more as a result of this plan. He says, I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee tomorrow. So these tariffs that will raise the prices of everything, everywhere, forever, will raise prices on the American family. And they're going to be surprised by this. Most of his voters and most of the people in the middle America are going to be surprised by this. They don't know this is coming. You do, because you're watching politics and paying attention. And he can't guarantee that the prices won't go up. Trump also said that he will not raise the age for government programs like Social Security, Medicare, and will not make cuts to them as part of spending reduction efforts led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Asked if raising ages for any of that stuff was off the table, Trump agreed by saying he won't do it. Trump spoke in a calm, measured tone, at times sparred with Welker. When she fact-checked him, oh God, he hates that, don't do that. He seemed heartened by the scope of his victory on November 5th after winning the popular vote and capturing all 7 of the battleground states. I'm getting cold. Bye, everybody. He heard from Jeff Bezos because of course he did. Jeff Bezos doesn't want his taxes to go up. He doesn't want to be tariffed. So Jeff's going to kiss his ass. People like me now, No, they don't, man. They just recognize that you have power over them, and so they're going to kiss your ass. That's not liking you. It's different than first, when I won the first time. I wasn't nearly as popular as this. And one thing that's very important in terms of the election, I love that I won the popular vote, and by a lot. 3 or 4 million. Trump did segue into familiar grievances. He would not concede that he lost the 2020 election, as usual. Asked how, in his view, Democrats stole the election, but not this one, even though they control the White House, because I think it was too big to rig. See, again, this is magical thinking. This is backward. This is double think. The Democrats were in charge and stole the election in 2020 or 2016 and 2020. No, it was 2020. They stole it for Biden, even though they weren't in charge of the government. But now that they are in charge of the government, they didn't steal it in 24. How does that even make sense? In 2020, when they apparently stole the election, according to Donald Trump, which is a lie, you shouldn't believe it. He was the president. He was in charge. It was his cabinet running the show. It was his government that ran that election, and he lost. So the government is responsible if it were stolen. He's in charge of the government. The election got stolen. That's his fault. He was in charge. I don't know why how it doesn't make any sense. He blamed President Joe Biden for the nation's political divide and heaped insults on perceived foes. Adam Schiff, the incoming Democratic senator from California, a real lowlife. But he delivered something of a mixed message when it came to political retribution. Trump made it clear he believes he's been wronged, but he also sounded a conciliatory note, saying he will not appoint a special prosecutor to investigate Biden. I'm not looking into going back to the past. Retribution will be through success. I hope that's true, but I suspect that he's lying. Let's listen to him talk.
In our interview, President-elect Trump defended some of his cabinet picks, including his embattled choice for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Hegseth, an Army veteran, is facing allegations of past sexual misconduct and excessive drinking, which he denies. Mr. Trump told me he has confidence in Hegseth. I also asked him about his choice for FBI Director Kash Patel, a hardline critic of the very agency he's been tapped to lead. You named Kash Patel to be the next FBI director. He has a list in his book of 60 people that he calls members of the so-called deep state.
He's got a list.
Democrats like Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. It includes former members of your cabinet, from Bill Barr to Christopher Wray. You campaigned on destroying the deep state. Do you want Kash Patel to launch investigations into people on that list?
No, I mean, he's going to do what he thinks is right.
Do you think that's right? Do you think that?
And I think that's the problem. He's just going to put all these lunatics in charge. And if the lunatics do things that he likes, he's going to support it. He's going to say, yeah, good job. If the lunatics like Kash Patel do things that the public don't like, he's going to blame them. He's going to burn them. You are only useful to Donald Trump if you are helping him get what he wants. So if Kash Patel starts doing things that are bad in the headlines or for the or bad optically, he might just burn them and drop their asses. His GA criminal case is active, but Trump at least gets back the $200,000 worth of bail that he posted through his foster bonds. Yeah, he shouldn't be out on bail. Yeah, I agree. He is a criminal and shouldn't be in charge.
That's right, sir.
If they think that somebody was dishonest or crooked or a corrupt politician, I think he probably has an obligation to do it. But
unless they're Republican, don't you dare go after Republicans.
You going to direct him to do it?
no, not at all. Not at all. We have two great people there. We have him and we have Pam. And Pam Bondi has been like a rocket ship. She's very popular and very good and very fair. And Kash Patel.
Very fair. She took a lot of money from him and then slow walked and prevented him from Donald Trump from being sued about the Trump College, the Trump University. She slowed that shit down because he paid her.
Patel is very fair. I'll tell you, I thought Kash may be difficult because he's, a strong conservative voice.
Lunatic.
And I don't know of anybody that's not singing his praises. The other day I was watching and Trey Gowdy, who's a moderate person and very smart and very...
Trey Gowdy is not moderate in any way, shape, or form. Trey Gowdy is hard right-wing, borderline fucking Nazi.
Very respected in the party. He's Kash's biggest fan. He said, this is the most misunderstood man in politics. He's great. I guess they worked together on the Russia hoax or something. And Trey Gowdy became a fan. Trey Gowdy. Everybody respects him. And
the Russia hoax, which wasn't a hoax and was proven to be correct and true.
Just like him, others also. I don't know of one negative vote. I don't think he's going to have any negative votes.
Is it your expectation, though, that Kash Patel will pursue investigations against your political enemies?
No, I don't think so.
Do you want to see that happen?
If they were crooked, if they did something wrong, if they have broken the law, probably. They went after me, They went after me.
For breaking the law. You broke the law. They went after you.
Nothing wrong.
Well, let me ask you this. You said President Biden... quote, that you're going to appoint a real special prosecutor to go after Joe Biden. You said that
Where
during
did I say that?
the campaign.
Where?
You said that on Truth Social, June 12th, 2023. I will appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president in the history of the United States, Joe Biden, and the entire Biden
that part is
crime
true.
family.
Well, that part is true. When he said it back then, it was true, and what he's saying now is also true. You see this, the trick that you have to know about Donald Trump. Whatever he's saying right now is what's important and what is true. If you take the words that he said in the past, then bring them up to him in the present, you're doing fact-checking, you're the enemy of the people, you're doing the press's job, and that is a bad thing. Don't do that. You can't do that. You can't listen to what Trump said. You have to listen to what he is saying right now. Yeah, how dare she use his own words against him?
Are you going to do that? Are you going to go after Joe Biden?
I was told there would be no fact-checking.
I'm really looking to make our country successful. I'm not looking to go back into the past. I'm looking to make our country successful. Retribution will be through success. If we can make this country successful, that would be that would be such a great achievement. Bring it back. We have a country now that's overridden with crime, that has millions.
No, it's not. That's a lie.
Of people that shouldn't be here, that should be in prisons in other countries, that should be in mental institutions.
He keeps saying that, but it's never been proven. Find one bit of evidence about mental institutions in other countries emptying their people on the American southern border. There's no evidence that this exists. This is a magical unicorn that he keeps pointing to and screaming at and telling you that it exists, and it doesn't.
Drug lords being dropped into our country and told never go back to their country. I'm looking to make our country great. I'm looking to bring prices down because, I won on two things, the border and more than immigration. They like to say immigration. I break it down more to the border, but I won on the border and I won on groceries. It's a very simple word.
Right. He won lying to you about the border and promising you shit about groceries that he's not going to fix. He can't fix the price of groceries with a tariff. Tariffs will make every grocery item everywhere forever go up.
Groceries, like almost, who uses the word? I started using the word, the groceries. When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double and triple the price over a short period of time. And I won an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down.
Those prices went up because of the greed of the companies who want more money. As inflation rose, and it did rise, they needed to charge more to make more money. And even if that company didn't need to raise their prices, imagine two bacon companies. One bacon company, because of inflation, has to raise their prices. The other bacon company doesn't have to, but they do so that they can make more profit. And now all the bacon is about the same price. And this is going to happen with when the tariffs roll in. Imagine a tariff on a Chinese car. Chinese car gets a 100% tariff. That makes the price go up 200%. American-made car in the same size, same class of car will see that the price of that Chinese car has gone up 2%, and they'll raise their price by 190% just to get more profit. They won't keep it where it is. God, no. That would be bad business. They see that price go up of the Chinese car by 200%, they'll raise theirs by 190% and then call it the cheaper option, because it will be still the cheaper option because it's only raised by 190% rather than 200%. And they'll look you in the face and they'll lie to you and tell you this is just how the business is. This is how prices go, and the tariffs raised that price, and we had to match. They will lie to you, and Donald Trump will lie to you too. When this happens, if it happens, he will look into the camera and tell you Joe Biden's inflation did this. This is Joe Biden's inflation. This is it. This is the Joe Biden inflation that I warned you about, even though we clearly, blatantly see that it's from his tariffs. His fans might be upset by that, and if we're lucky, they will see that and then stop supporting him. If we're not lucky, they'll believe the bullshit that he spreads. They'll believe that it's that it's actually Biden's inflation. They'll believe that it's the Chinese's fault. They'll believe it's the immigrants' fault. They'll believe that it's the trans's fault somehow, because they want to believe that. And belief is the problem, as usual. Belief is the problem. If you believe, you are opening yourself up to manipulation, to being misled. Stop believing things. Quit doing it.
Pause here because what you're saying is significant. Because you wrote on Truth Social in 2023 that you're going to appoint a real special prosecutor to go after Joe Biden. Now you're saying you're not going to do that.
I will say this. No, I'm not doing that unless I find something that I think is reasonable. But that's not going to be my decision. That's going to be Pam Bondi's decision, and to a different extent, Kash Patel. Assuming they're both there, and I think they're both going to get approved. But while you ask me that, what they've done to me with weaponization is a disgrace.
We'll get to
You broke the laws. That's why the DOJ came after you. You broke the laws. They didn't.
some of that.
No,
sir.
wait. You can't do one without the other. In the history of our country, nothing like this has ever happened. And I've won these cases.
You've been a criminal running for president?
Everyone in
Right.
the rest are
That's
in
never
the
happened.
process of being won. Deranged Jack Smith is on his way back to The Hague, where he can execute people. This is where he should have stayed. I think he's dangerous even being there. But I'll tell you what.
He's well respected, knows exactly what he's doing. You are the criminal, and you are the bad guy in this situation. He's a prosecutor going after criminals, and he did. I read the Jack Smith report, and guess what? It lays out a really solid fucking evidence that Donald Trump knew what was happening on Jan 6th and pushed for it to happen.
What they've done to me in terms of weaponization, indictments, impeachments, and everything else. And in the end, it probably helped me because I got the biggest vote, the most votes any Republican's ever gotten in history.
Pam Bondi talks about investigating the investigators. Do you want her to investigate?
I know. Why does the media not do what I'm doing right now? That's why they're all failing. This is why NBC is failing. This is why MSNBC is failing. This is why CNN is failing. Because they're not doing what I'm doing. You are saying things that are not true, and you just get to spread it to all the people. And then the internet gets all the internet people get bought up by the right wing and paid off by the right wing, or they get shut down on Twitter and shit like that because they don't push right wing agendas, and that's a different problem. That's a different complaint.
Investigate Jack Smith?
I want her to do what she wants to do.
Do you want to see Jack Smith investigated?
Well, I think he's very corrupt, but
He's corrupt. In what way? Name anything, literally anything that he has done incorrectly. Any bit of money that he has stolen, I'm willing to bet, and I would stake my reputation on it, that Jack Smith is the most squeaky clean human being there ever was.
I want her to do whatever she has to do.
Are you going to direct her to prosecute Jack
She's
Smith?
a very smart person. She was a great attorney general in Florida. She's very experienced. I want her to do what she wants to do. I'm not going to instruct her to do it now.
Sir, are you going to fire the current FBI director, Christopher Wray, who you appointed?
Well, I can't say I'm thrilled with him.
Are you going to fire the person that you appointed? Yes, he is going to exactly do that. Are you, sir, going to deny the things that you said on Truth Social? Yes, he is. Are you going to go back on all the promises you made? Yes, you are. Is he going to lie to you about the border some more? Yes. Is he going to lie to you about the number of immigrants that got deported? Yes, he is. Is he going to go back on the tax cut promises that he made? Yes. Man, I'm telling you, don't listen to what he said. You have to listen to what he's saying right now. And that's why the people like him, is because he will just say whatever it makes them happiest at the moment.
He invaded my home. I'm suing the country over it. He invaded Mar-a-Lago.
Because you broke the
I'm
law.
very unhappy with the things he's done. And crime is at an all-time high.
No, it's not.
Migrants are pouring into the country.
No, they're
from
not.
Prisons and from mental institutions, as we've discussed. I can't say I'm thrilled. I don't want to be Joe Biden and give you an answer and then do the exact opposite.
We're going to talk about
Literally what you do every time. Every time.
I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to say is I certainly cannot be happy with him. You take a look at what's happened. And then when I was shot in the ear, he said, oh, maybe it was shrapnel. Where's the shrapnel coming from? Is it coming from heaven? I don't think so.
The exploded, the teleprompter exploded. The teleprompter got hit by a bullet and it exploded. That's a hell-worthy trespass. Like, maybe it was shrapnel, okay? Then when you looked at the facts, it turned out it wasn't, okay? Who cares? What difference does that make?
So,
personal petty grievance. He needs people to think he's a hero for getting hit with a bullet. He's less of a hero if he got hit with shrapnel. And he needs his hero status to be higher than just shrapnel.
We need somebody to straighten. I have a lot of respect for the FBI, but the FBI's respect has gone way down over the last number of years.
Don't you have to fire him in order to make room for Kash Patel if he is, in fact, confirmed?
Well, I mean, it would sort of seem pretty obvious that if Kash gets in, he's going to be taking somebody's place, right? And somebody is the man that you're talking about.
I asked you last
That's some corpo speak, isn't it? Some roundaboutism right there.
time we sat down for an interview if you were going to pardon yourself. You said no. But now that President Biden has pardoned his son, Hunter, are you reconsidering? Might you pardon yourself?
I didn't do anything wrong.
You have literally been found guilty in a court of law.
I was given the option. And the lawyers told me, a very specific lawyer, I don't have to go into who, but very high up in the administration said, sir, if you pardon yourself, you're going to look guilty. And you did nothing wrong. Oh, I had that option. I could have saved myself a lot of legal fees, but it turned out that I was right. Look at what.
You weren't right. You didn't get found not guilty. They're dropping the Jack Smith case and the documents case because you won again. Because you lied to enough people to convince them to vote for you. And now you've won again. And the DOJ, for some dumbass reason, has a written policy from the 70s where they don't convict or the sitting president, and they only let the Senate do that.
What's going on? Everything's being dropped. I still have Fani Willis.
Not guilty.
A total hoax. That's a total hoax.
It's not a hoax. It's been proven in a court. This guy has no idea what proof is, what evidence is, what court cases are, what laws are. He has no ethics. He has no guidelines. He has no principles. If it's good for him, it's legal. If it's bad for him, it's illegal. That is the only rule that we're going to have for the next 4 years. Fear among Trump's political opponents is that he'll use the government's fearsome investigative machinery to exact vengeance. He has chosen 2 allies for the top law enforcement positions, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, who are lunatics. Let's skip over it. Interview covered a range of topics during which he continued to keep some space between himself and the conservative Project 125. That was intended to be a blueprint for his administration to implement the new policies. He's doing everything they say anyway, but not pointing at them. While he wants to disavow the policy guidebook, he embraced it more closely and agreed some of the drafters are now part of his incoming administration. Many of those things I happen to agree with. That's why they put it together. Yeah, Shinseto, you're right. It's not a policy. It's just a fucking memo that they follow. He said he would consider raising the federal minimum wage, which has been at $7.25. I will agree. It's a very low number. He said he will release. I don't believe him when he says this. This is more of that fake populism. Bernie campaigns and pushes for raising the minimum wage. $7.25 an hour is not nearly enough. The millionaires and the billionaires, they need to pay more in their taxes. We're pushing for a living wage, and Bernie pushes for those things, and the people like hearing it, which means Donald Trump will say it, but he will never do it. And then he'll blame the Republicans in the Senate for not upholding it and beg you to vote for him so he can do it. This is a very common political ploy. The Democrats did it with gay marriage forever. For the entire 80s and 90s and 2000s, that's what the Democrats ran on. Hey, we totally support gay marriage. We totally want it. We totally love it. It's your right to get married, no matter what your genders are. We just can't get it through the Senate. Vote for us, and we'll say that it's a good thing, and we'll talk about doing it. But then when it fails in the Senate, we'll blame them, and they'll say that it's just not the right time, and you don't know who your senator is anyway, so just keep voting for me. It's typical politics. He said he'll release his full medical records. Who cares? He said divest. He said he doesn't plan to divest from Truth Social, the billion-dollar platform he launched after leaving office. I don't know what's to divest. All I do is put out messages. You own the thing, you lying sack of shit. You own it. And if people want to give you money as a bribe, they'll buy the stock, making you have more money. Then you can sell the stock, driving the price down, getting some money. Then they can manipulate it to go down. Then you can buy some more stock up, and then they can pump it up, and then you can sell it for more money. If he doesn't divest from Truth Social, it will be the way that people bribe him. That is where they are going to bribe him. He said his children won't join him as White House aides. I don't believe him. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Let's listen to what he says about DACA recipients. Here we go.
Let's talk about mass deportation, one of your big agenda items. You've talked about prioritizing people who have criminal histories.
Correct.
But is it your plan to deport everyone who is here illegally over the next 4 years?
Well, I think you have to do it, and it's a very tough thing to do. But you have to have, you have rules, regulations, laws. They came in illegally. The people that have been treated very unfairly are the people that have been online for 10 years to come into the country. And we're going to make it very easy for people to come in terms of they have to pass the test. They have to
pass the. So he's setting down rules. Great, fine. Make a pathway. Make a plan.
Able to tell you what the Statue of Liberty is. They have to tell you a little bit about our country. They have to love our country. They can't come out of prisons. We don't want people that are in for murder. So we had 11,000 and 13,000 different estimates 13,099.
This is a wildly exaggerated number that has been proven not to be true.
Murderers released into our country over the last 3 years. They're walking down the streets, they're walking next to you and your family, and they're very dangerous.
The 13,000 figure, I think, goes back about 40 years.
No, it doesn't.
40 years, not 3 years. He's a liar, and she just fact-checked him. Good job. He's just going to lie some more.
It's within the 3-year period. It's during the Biden term.
No,
now.
it's
That was
literally
a
not.
fiction that they put that out.
Oh, that's a he's literally lying his ass off. Yeah, how do you test love? They have to know what the Statue of Liberty is, or what it stands for. Yeah, good call. Maybe we ask Donald Trump what it says on the fucking Statue of Liberty. Maybe there's some sort of famous poem written in there about bringing me your huddled masses and bringing immigrants into the fucking country. He doesn't know that. He just thinks it's a pretty statue. I swear to God, I bet he does not have any goddamn idea what the Statue of Liberty stands for, what the poem is, what it means. He just thinks it's a pretty statue.
This was done by the Border Patrol. It's 13,099, and it's during the Biden period of time.
No, it's over
And these are
40
murderers.
years. She is correct
Many of
here.
whom murdered more than one person. You don't want those people in this country.
But you're saying something, sir, that's significant. I just want to make sure I'm clear, which is that you're saying, yes, you're going to focus on the people with criminal histories, but everyone who's here illegally has to go.
I'm
is what
saying
you're
this.
saying.
We have to get the criminals out of our country. We have to get people that were taken out of mental institutions and put them back into their
There
mental
aren't any of
institution,
those.
no matter what country it is.
You made it up.
Do you know that Venezuela, their prisons are at the lowest point in terms of emptiness that they've ever been?
I'm willing to bet that's a lie. I will look at Venezuela prison population here in just a minute. Maybe I should just type that in right now. Venezuela prison populations. He heard there would be no fact checking, but Venezuela prison population by year. Let's take a look. 2017 to 2023. I wish we could go for a longer one, but it's low. It is low. I bet there's a reason for it. Total number of inmates or prisoners was 50% lower in 2017, and that's because... So it is going down. That's a good thing for a country to have fewer people in prison. But crime drop does not prove Trump's claim. Here we go, factcheck.org. He hates fact checks. Crime drop in Venezuela does not prove Trump's claim that the country is sending criminals to the U.S. Anyone who's heard a speech by former President Donald Trump in the last few years has certainly heard this unsubstantiated claim that countries around the world are emptying their prisons and mental institutions and sending those people to the U.S. Trump has offered scant support for this claim, but in virtually all of his recent speeches, he has been citing a reported drop in crime in Venezuela as evidence that the economically and politically beleaguered country is sending their criminals to the U.S. Experts in and out of Venezuela told us there is no evidence to back up Trump's claim. Reported crime is trending down in Venezuela, though not nearly as dramatically as Trump claims. The crime experts in the country say that there are numerous reasons for that, and they have nothing to do with sending criminals to the United States. Again, he lies constantly. None of it is true. He was hired, he was elected on this gigantic lie. And if you're a conservative type person, if you are hearing this and you are seeing this and you're screaming about that damn stupid liberal Waldo, don't know what he's talking about, it's right there. He lied to you, but you like it because you want to believe it. You want it to be true.
Taking their people out of those prisons by the thousands, and they're drunk. And just to get back, because I know exactly what you're getting at. Number one, we're doing criminals, and we're going to do them really rapidly. We're getting the worst gang probably with MS-13, and the Venezuelan gangs are the worst in the world. They're vicious, violent people.
Say Trendere,
and you see what they've done in
it.
Colorado and other places. They're taking over, literally taking over apartment complexes and doing it with impunity. They don't care. They couldn't. They just are. They're in the real estate business.
You know, the local police say that is not the case in Colorado.
Oh, it's totally the case. I mean,
He knows better than the local police. Don't you know? Stupid liberal.
You don't believe the local police.
I play it. I used to play it at my rallies every single night. No, it was they're
You
breaking
used to
into
play it. Yeah, you used to play it because it was a lie.
doors. They're taking over the building.
But sir, you
And by the
raised
way,
the
the
point.
police are afraid to do anything.
You raised the point that the logistics are complicated. You said
Sure
it
they
yourself.
are,
You would
but
need
everything's
24
complicated.
Yeah, you mean you need 24 times more ICE detention capacity just to deport 1 million people per year, not to mention more agents, more judges, more planes. Is it realistic to deport everyone who's
You have
here
no
illegally?
choice. First of all,
That sounds like a huge increase in the government. Giant, way more people, way more money, way more spending, way more planes. Big government Republicans, listen, I thought you hated big government.
Costing us a fortune. But we're starting with the criminals, and we got to do it. And then we're starting with others, and we're going to see how it goes.
Who are the others?
Others are other people outside of criminals. We have convicted murders. We don't mean people that are even on trial. We have people that have murdered numerous people are on our streets and in our farms, and we have to get them out of our country.
What about dreamers, sir? Dreamers who were
Did you
brought
say
to this
murders
country
on our
illegally.
farms?
And in our farms, and we have to get them
Back
that
it
are
up.
even on trial. We have people that have murdered numerous people are on our streets and in our farms.
No, we don't. You're making things up. You misunderstand the numbers. You misunderstand the immigration. You create a delusion of these asylums emptying their patients onto the border. You create this delusion, and then you spread the fear. Every single time. He always does those 3 steps with every issue. Every time. Misunderstand, create a delusion, spread fear.
Pressing the thumbs up button will release chemicals in your human brain that will make you feel.
And we have to get them out of our country.
What about dreamers, sir? Dreamers who were brought to this country illegally as children. You said once back in 2017, they, quote, shouldn't be very worried about being deported. Should they be worried now?
The dreamers are going to come later, and we have to do something about the dreamers, because these are people that have been brought here at a very young age, and many of these are middle-aged people now. They don't even speak the language of their country. And yes, we're going to do something about the
What does
dreamers.
that mean?
And
What are you going to do?
I
What are you
will
gonna do?
work with the Democrats on a plan, and if we can come up with
The Democrats had a plan. Make them citizens. You don't like that plan.
the plan, but the Democrats have made it very, very difficult to do anything. Republicans are very open to the dreamers. The dreamers,
No, they're not. They're the ones who fought against Obama when he was pushing the Dream Act and shit like that. It was Republicans who shot that shit down. The Republicans who didn't want to make these people citizens.
we're talking many years ago, they were brought into this country, many years ago. Some of them are no longer young people, and in many cases, they become successful. They have great jobs. In some cases, they have small businesses. Some cases, they might have large businesses.
Make
And
them
we're going to have to do
citizens.
something with them.
Very simple.
You want them to be able to stay. That's what you're saying?
I do. I want to be able to work something out. And it should have been able to be worked out over the last 3 or 4 years. And it never got worked out. You know, Biden could have done it because he controlled, Congress.
Yes, Biden could have done it, but he didn't want to. Dems like to stand still. Biden isn't a leftist. He's not going to push left-wing ideology. He's not going to push left-leaning ideas. Democrats stand still. That's why they lose most of the time. They're not actually pushing to solve the problems with left-leaning ideas. They're pushing to stand in the middle and say, well, they got brought over here and we're not going to deport them, but we're not going to make them citizens either. The left wants to make them citizens. Democrats in the center want to stand still and do nothing. And the people on the right want to deport them. Pick a lane.
Congress to a certain extent, right? He could have done something, but they didn't do it. I never understood why, because they always seem to want to do it, but then when it comes down to it, they don't. I think we.
Just like I was saying about gay marriage a few minutes ago. The Democrats run on it, promise to do something, then fail to do anything because they don't want to do anything because they're paid not to do anything. The donors, the people who are paying their bills or paying the billions of dollars to get them elected, don't want them to do anything.
We can work with the Democrats and work something out.
Let me ask you about another group of people, the estimated 4 million families in America who have mixed immigration status. So I'm talking about parents who might be here illegally, but
Yeah.
the kids are here legally. Your borders are
You're talking
Tom
about
Homan.
separation.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are 2 aspects to this. Your border czar, Tom Homan, said they can be deported together. Is
Correct.
that the plan?
Well, that way you keep those. Well, I don't want to be breaking up families, so the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together, and you have to send them all back.
Even kids who are here legally?
Well, what you're going to do if they want to stay with the father? Look, we have to have rules and regulations. You can always find something out like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. I'll tell you what's going to be horrible. When we take a wonderful young woman who's with a criminal, and they show the woman, and she could stay by the law, but they show the woman being taken out, or they want her out, and your cameras are focused on her as she's crying, as she's being taken out of our country, and then the public turns against us. But we have to do our job, and you have.
That's why you shouldn't do it. Donnie, listen, you know the reason you shouldn't be doing this, and you would like to, he wants that to happen. He wants her to be taken out. Just don't let anybody see it. Don't let the cameras see it, idiots.
Have to have a series of standards and a series of laws. And in the end, look, our country is a mess.
It's a mess because you keep making it a fucking mess. You keep dicking this up. He doesn't want you to see. If an immigrant is dragged away from their family, kicking, screaming, crying, and the family is separated, and it didn't happen on camera, did it even happen? He's going to tell you no. The Republicans don't think that happened. If it depicts or it didn't happen, of this person being harmed by ICE. Hi, Valor. Thanks for coming in. We're watching this Trump stuff. He is just saying the thing that he's always been saying, and he even knows, he recognizes, he comprehends that it's complicated, nuanced. He hates nuance. Donald Trump hates nuance. He hates 1,000 different possibilities in the gray center area. He's got a simple brain. There's black, there's white, there's good, there's right, there's up, there's down. There's no gray area in the middle. There's all abortions or zero abortions. There's no middle area. There's no nuance in the center. He hates that shit. He does not want it. He does not like it. And because he is authoritarian brained, he wants just one big blanket rule for the entire country, for the entire world. He thinks that laws are big, heavy, simple things. They're not. They're incredibly complicated. There's 1,000 different little nuances in the law. There's 1,000 little exceptions in every single law that's ever been produced. There's someone who's going to harm unjustly. There's some mechanism that isn't put together properly. There's some loophole that we're talking about immigration. So the dreamers that got brought over are a gray area. The children that are born in America, because of the Constitution, they're Americans. That's a loophole. That's a gray area that he doesn't want to deal with. He doesn't want this nuance. He wants giant blanket statements that can be easily put out in a single tweet and carried out at Mach speed, and very fast. That's what he wants. He wants simple, easy to understand tweets that are just dictates. He wants to dictate, there's an interesting word there, what the law ought to be. And if you have a complaint, something like that, maybe you take it up with the judge, or maybe not. It's just he dictated all these illegals are going, so they're going. There's 1,000. If there are 11 million immigrants, and there are 11 million reasons. There are 11 million situations, 11 million snowflakes that are not like the other snowflakes. There are 11 million individual situations that have to be sifted and sorted through, one at a time, by intelligent people with their best interests in mind. The Democrats aren't going to do that because for a lot of different reasons. They don't want to lose their wedge issue. They don't want to piss off their donors. They don't want to move. They want to stand still. The left would put together a path for citizenship. Show up, fill out the paperwork, talk to a judge, pay a fine even for coming in illegally, follow these steps, and over the next 6 years, if you don't commit any crimes and you don't get into trouble and you do all the right things and you pay into taxes, you can become a citizen. The right wants them all to leave and be kicked out, but even then they might not actually want to do that. They might actually be playing a scapegoat game. I am worried that the right will actually get this done and get millions of people moved out, and they'll have to find a new scapegoat. They'll have to blame the trans people for anything that goes wrong on the stock market, and then they'll blame the black people, and then they'll blame the women, until the only people left in charge in the country are straight white men, and that'll be a boring country. It'll be a terrible place. Won't be able to get anything good to eat anywhere. Anyway, let's go back to this. This is just what he said, so that we can read it. All right, he has concepts of a plan for healthcare. I'm sure this is going to be great. Let's hear it.
Let's talk about health care. I've been talking to Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill. They say it's no longer feasible to repeal and replace Obamacare because it's so entrenched in the system. Do you see it that way? Is that now off the table, repealing and replacing
when John
Obamacare?
McCain let us down by voting, and
see how she said that twice? because that was his plan. That was his words, repeal and replace. That was his plan. She's using his words against him, as usual. She's doing a good job.
Murkowski and Collins and whoever it was that voted against. But they really let us down. They did us a great disservice because we would have had great health. Obamacare is lousy health care.
Okay, so he's mad that John McCain gave the very famous thumbs down to repealing Obamacare. He didn't have a plan to replace it. They could have repealed. He had no plan to replace it. He had nothing. Back then, that was 2017 or something like that. And he thinks Obamacare stinks. Okay, great.
It's very expensive health care for the people. It's also expensive for the country, but for the people, it's lousy health care. When John McCain gave his thumbs down after saying for 10 years that he wants to repeal and replace, okay?
He gave that thumbs down because you, Mr. Donnie Trump, did not have the replacement. He said it into a camera. John McCain went in front of a camera after giving that thumbs down and said, I can't give the thumbs up until you, Donald Trump, give me a replacement. Donald Trump did not do that because he has no replacement. He has no plan. He has no idea what to do. He doesn't comprehend it. It is too complicated a situation for him to wrap his very, very tiny brain around.
And then he came out, put his now famous thumbs down, and he became a hero to the left. Let me tell you, if we find something better, I would love to do it. But unless we find, but one thing I have to say.
He still doesn't have something better than Obamacare. Hi, Zovac. Thanks for coming in. Tell us what you're thinking. Tell us what you're feeling. We're watching Trump's latest interview. It's pretty much the same as he always has been. He doesn't have a better plan. He can't find something better than Obamacare. Obamacare is terrible and horrible, but we can't find anything better. Maybe it's not so terrible and horrible. Maybe you should make it better. You can make it better. Public option.
I inherited Obamacare, or anything else you want to go. It's got about 20 names, but I inherited it.
No, it's got two.
And I had a decision.
It's got two. It's got the Affordable Care Act, ACA. That's what it's actually called. Then it's got the slur term, Obamacare. So it doesn't have 20 names. It has two.
To make with Health and Human Services. I had a big decision to make. Do I make it as good as we can make it, or do I let it rot? And a lot of political people said, let it rot and let it be a failure. I said, that's not the right thing to do. And I had very good people in the medical area that handled that. And I said, what do you want to do? He said, we really have an obligation to make it as good as we can. And we did. We made it as good as we can make it. Instead of making it bad where everybody would be calling for its repeal, I made it so that it works. Now,
but you did try to overturn it, sir.
It's lousy.
You did try to overturn it. You did have your Justice Department try to direct the Supreme Court to.
No, we got to.
I was told there would be no fact checking. So in fact, really concerned about the actual world politics, that Trump is a key figure in the world politics, unfortunately. Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, he is going to be leading things poorly, but we're going to watch how poorly he does.
A little bit of a surprising opinion, to be honest with you. If it would have been overturned, we would have had much better health care right now. But
how? You have never, ever, ever given us a plan on how to make it better. No plans have ever come out of him since 2015 on how to make it better. It's been 9 damn years. He's been promising a better plan, and he has not given one, ever.
Right now, we have something that I made the best of. I could have made the worst of it, and it would have fallen by the wayside. I did the right thing from a human standpoint, but, you know, I'm sort of proud of my decision. At the same time, sometimes I regret it. I told the people, and I gave them the money to do it. I said, fix it, make it work, because people would have suffered. But it's too bad that they voted no. I wish John McCain...
The vote John McCain gave a thumbs down to wasn't give us money to fix Obamacare. It wasn't, hey, Donald Trump did not gather together a bunch of money and then give it to John McCain and say, hey, make Obamacare better. And then he gave that a thumbs down. That is not how that happened. John McCain gave a thumbs down to destroy this thing with no alternative. That's what he put his thumb down to. But Donald Trump misunderstands, he creates a delusion, and then he spreads fear. Every single issue. Misunderstand, delusion, fear.
McCain, I wish he fought for 10 years on replacing Obamacare for 10 years. And
Maybe. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking, was it really 10 years? Obamacare didn't happen until 1 year into his thing, then 7 years after that. I bet it was 8 years. I bet it was 7 or 6.
then he voted against. Nobody understands it.
Sir, you said during the campaign you had.
You don't understand it. Not nobody. I understand it completely and fully. You don't understand it, but instead of learning a new thing, you misunderstand, you create a delusion, and then you spread fear.
Concepts of a plan. Do you have an actual plan at this point for healthcare?
Yes, we have concepts of a plan that would be better.
Still just concepts? Do you have a fully developed plan?
Let me explain. We have the biggest healthcare companies looking at it. We have doctors. We're always looking because
The companies, the healthcare companies are looking at it. Can you tell where I'm going to complain about this?
Obamacare stinks. It's lousy. There are better answers. If we come up with a better answer, I would present that answer to Democrats and to everybody else, and I do something about it. But until we have that, or until they can
2015.
approve it, but we're not going to go through the big deal. I am the one that saved Obamacare, I will say, and I did the right thing. I could have done the more political thing and killed it, and all I had to do is starve it to death.
You did try to have your Justice Department effectively kill it, though,
No.
sir.
Kill it from a legal standpoint, but from a physical standpoint, I made it work.
They
In your
tried to kill it
concepts of a
legally. They
plan,
did everything
sir,
they could.
Will people with pre-existing conditions still have coverage? And can you guarantee their prices will not go up?
The answer is yes. They'll have coverage. You have to have it.
And what about their
Because
prices?
you know what?
What about their prices, sir?
I want the prices to go down. I want to have better health care for less money. And there are ways of doing it, I believe.
There are ways of doing it. And you would call it socialized medicine, Donnie. You would. Your entire party would be against the idea that wouldn't do exactly what you're talking about. Socialized medicine would be better health care for less money.
I also asked the
But he's very
president-elect about
unhappy
NBC
about that.
News
Who's
is reporting that
I
President
didn't
Biden.
tell you to talk. I told you to shut up. Okay. Foreign policy. Oh, we're out of videos, so let's read this one. You can't just watch the whole damn thing. You have to consume it bit by bit on their website so they get more clicks. And you shouldn't go to theirs. You should come here to click on my clicks. Later Friday, after the interview, Trump flew to Paris for a ceremony making the reopening of the Notre Dame Cathedral. Fine. I was about to complain about cathedrals and religion again, but I don't want to. Let's see. Would you stop doing that? In the interviews with Meet the Press, Trump said he actively ended the war, trying to end the war, if I can, adding that Ukraine can possibly expect it won't get as much military aid from the U.S. when he's back in office. So Ukraine's going to get less, which means Russia's going to win. He would not commit to keeping the U.S. in NATO, the European military alliance that has been the bulwark against Russia since World War II. If they pay their bills, absolutely. Boss, we're the largest and the richest country in the world. Not the largest, but the richest and the most powerful country in the world. We would pay more. He doesn't understand the idea. And we'll talk about taxes later, sure. He doesn't understand why the person with the most has to give more. He doesn't get it. He's never comprehended any of the idea that the person with the most should give more. He doesn't get it. It's not a thought that runs through his head. That's why he's cuts taxes for rich people. They're rich. Why should they pay more? He doesn't get it. He doesn't comprehend it. Which is why he's not an actual populist. He is the opposite of he's a fake populist. He says populist things. Sometimes he steals a few lines from Bernie to convince you to vote for him, but he doesn't know why you would want the rich people to pay more. He doesn't get it. He doesn't know why you would suspect or expect the rich people to pay more. Zorvek says, my guess for the future, Trump will turn the U.S. economics to shit. I think you're right. He will not comply with the NATO treaty if states do not meet the 2% hurdle for defense spending. And that's what Germany will after new elections. We actually have no government because of the coalition broke. We'll build an European army against the Russian aggression. Okay, yeah, that sounds like a solid prediction. I could probably see all of that happening. I would agree with you that Germany doesn't spend that 2% into NATO, so NATO starts to fall apart. The U.S. Backs out of it. Germany might back out of it and then build their own smaller non-UN forces. This is balkanization, man. This is the opposite of globalization. We are not becoming one planet. We are becoming 200 little fiefdoms, 200 little countries. Now, conservatives want that. Conservatives like the idea of solid borders and isolationism of the people and the economics. Conservative, right-wing people love that shit. They really do. They want to build a wall on the on the southern American border to keep out the immigrants. They want to build a wall on the north to keep out the Canadians. They want to build a trade wall on the east so that we can't trade with Europe, and they want to build a trade wall on the west so that we can't trade with Asia. They think this is a solution. It's not. For a rich country like America, who has a lot of resources left, it would be beneficial to their stock portfolios to do so, but it would be harmful to everyone else, and it would lead to, I'm going to say, not kind of like jealousy. It would lead to longing. It would lead to shortages in other parts of the world, and then the other parts of the world would then start invading other people to get what they want. Split up the people, because if they unify, we'll be in trouble. Yeah, good point, Valor. That's exactly what they want. They want the people divided so they cannot band together to take out the real problem, which is the millionaires and the billionaires. The rich people do not want you becoming united to fight them. The CDU is actually the most popular party for the new elections, and guess what? They are conservative right-wingers who love European borders and war in the East. Yeah, exactly. They want those solid, hard borders. They want more control over the people within their area. And that's what it's always been about. The conservatives and Donald Trump want control. They need control. People walking across a porous border means a lack of control that irritates them, it irks them, they hate it. The idea that a company could trade with, a company in America could trade freely with Japan means they don't have control over it. They're unhappy with this. They hate it. The ability to marry whoever you want is a freedom that they would take away. They want control. They demand to be in charge and do what they say. They think it's better to be isolated, they're going to force isolation on you. They think it's better to have a nuclear family, they're going to force that on you. They think it's better to deny gay marriage, they're going to force that on you. They think it's better that women don't take birth control, they're going to force that on you. They think it's better to cut taxes of the rich people, they're going to force that on you. They think it's better to vote one day instead of over a week, they're going to force that on you. They think it's better to vote in person rather than by the mail, they're going to force that on you. And what I'm describing is a lack of freedom. This is what the conservatives do. This is what Republicans do. This is what the right wing does. Restrict freedom in exchange for control. They lower your freedom, step by step, bit by bit, little bit at a time, so that they can control more of the outcomes, more of what the people are and aren't allowed to do. Donald Trump is anti-freedom, always has been. He does not want a week's worth of voting to happen. Too much freedom. Corral that shit. Bring that shit in. Don't you let people vote 7 days in a row. God, no. He hates that shit. Don't let people vote online or from the mail. Does not want you to have that freedom. Don't let people marry who they want. Do not give them that freedom. And that is why I'm always against them. This is why I feel so strongly in what I'm talking about, that I could come on to a YouTube to millions of viewers and shut up. Let me have this. Let me imagine. Let me believe that I have millions of viewers. That's why I feel like I can come on here and talk about it.
I am the algorithm. Click on this video to make me happy. You wouldn't like me when I am angry.